we got mail.
Oh, what have we got in here today? I've been waiting like a year to get this. Yeah. Peek. 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 There we go. Another one to the collection. We are back already, guys. Wow, this was a short week. We got a bit of a shorter chapter this week, but it was still pretty dang good. I say we go ahead and jump into it. Starting with the cover page, it's pretty much exactly how it's been for the past couple of weeks. Like, they're escaping. They're all gonna escape. Unless something crazy happens. Like, I think that them escaping is all that's gonna happen in the rest of the cover story. Maybe we'll get something cool. Maybe there will be some epic twist. But as for right now, it's looking like this is the way to go. But, you know, I would like to be surprised. This was a bit of a wild chapter. We got way more questions today than we got answers. We may have gotten like a little bit of answers, but way more questions were given to us today. Like I said last week, I thought that they were just gonna start right where we left off from last chapter, and that's what's happening. They start off right as they show up. And apparently the big Cyclone Eddie thing, I'm assuming, was created by this giant shark monster that we got. We got a cover page on the first page, by the way. It doesn't happen too often. And boy, howdy. He is flexing his drawing skills right there, because that is a very scary shark. Until you go one page down, and then he's a very goofy looking shark. But I love that. I love how Oda, sometimes he'll introduce a character or a concept as very like scary and ominous and dark, and then like once they actually show the fullness of them, it's a little more goofy. I always like that. We're getting some good Jinbei action. We're getting some good Sunny action. Looks like the Sunny's got a little propeller on the bottom, and it's got rabbit ears, because that's the only rabbit that's ever gonna be on the Sunny ever again, are these rabbit ears, and definitely not some other rabbit. Never gonna happen, guys. Never gonna happen. This shark is taking out the Sunny pretty well, though. I'm not sure, because, you know, the Sunny's supposed to be made from the Atom Tree and should be, like, pretty dang strong. Stronger than most ships. But if anything can take out the Sunny, it would be something from Vegapunk. By the way, there's a big Vegapunk on the side of the shark, if you didn't notice that already. I think that the shark may belong to Vegapunk. So this shark is kind of going ham on all the Straw Hats right now, taking them out kind of easily, not gonna lie. And if it wasn't for this mysterious robot, who I thought was Frankie at first, but it's not Frankie. If it weren't for that thing, I think the Straw Hats would have been toast, man. They would have been toast. I'm wondering if this shark right here is completely robotic that Vegapunk made, or if it's some sort of shark cyborg that Vegapunk turned into a cyborg. Because we know on Karakuri Island that Vegapunk used to enhance animals to make them do his hard labor. We then cut to a nearby naval base where we see Tashigi and all the kids from Punk Hazard. That makes me feel like we're going to see a lot more Punk Hazard stuff in the future. This is probably just like a little nod. I don't think any of the kids are actually going to be important to the story anymore, but I have a feeling that more of the things that happened in Punk Hazard are going to be very important to the story very soon, with all this Vegapunk stuff coming back up. I'm now wondering what the role of Tashigi is going to be for the rest of One Piece. When Tashigi was first introduced, her main goal was to go out and find all of the legendary swords and take them away from all the pirates that she thought were mishandling the legendary swords. That was her initial goal and purpose. Then around in Alabasta, when she was there, she kept getting defeated over and over, and was shown that she was completely useless and weak against all of the tougher people in the Grand Line. So then her goal at that point was to be stronger, so she could kind of step up to the plate with the rest of them. Is she stronger now? Not really. In the context of the story, not really. She's still nowhere near Zoro or anything, but I guess she's tough enough to hang out in the New World at this point, maybe. I don't know. I'm wondering now if that dream to take all of the legendary swords away from all of the bad people is still something that she wants to do, or if just being a babysitter at this point is what she wants, and that's just her role for the rest of the story. I don't know. Then we get so many new characters. We are so close to the end of the story, yet we are just, he just keeps piling more and more and more characters. Like, it's gonna be overload, but I like how they look. I like Hibari. I like Doll. I like these new fellers. It looks like we're finally meeting more members of Sword. I guess it's a first final confirmation that Helmeppo is actually in Sword, and that it's not just Kobe and Drake, since those are the only two that we knew of before this. We meet someone named Prince Groose, which, like, did we need this person? Is this person going to be important at all? I have no idea, but we're just meeting more and more and more new characters. I do like this guy's hat, though. I do like his bill. I need a hat with a bill that big. Okay, we are just not gonna show that drawing of Bonnie on my channel on this video. We're just gonna skip right past that. But Bonnie and Luffy talk, and it's funny because they're neato. Bonnie does, though, acknowledge that Luffy has his white Gear 5th hair in his bounty poster, and she asks why, and he says to her, "Oh, that's just how I look when I'm totally free." What? This goes hand in hand with what the Gorosei were talking about back in 1044, you know, with the big Nika reveal that, you know, he can fight in whatever way he fancies, bringing smiles to the faces of the people, you know, the warrior of liberation or freedom, you know. So I guess Luffy himself knows that when he's in that form, that he feels free. I guess he actually feels liberated and free when he's in that state, even more so than when he's not. So Egghead Island is where we're at now. Who would have thunk it? Who had that on their bingo card? Now, admittedly, in the past, I'm half right and half wrong on this. In the past, I theorized that we were going to go to a more futuristic island eventually whenever we got to Vegapunk. We would eventually get to an island that is sort of steampunk. One Piece is secretly steampunk. That's also my other theory, or just kind of fact about One Piece, is that it's always been a steampunk. My theory, however, was that Elbaf was actually going to be the futuristic island that they were going to go to. Because, honestly, from what we've seen of Elbaf, you know, it's a bunch of forests and log cabins and like one big tree. I'm not super excited if we have a big long arc and that's the only environment that we're in. I was thinking that we could spice things up by saying that Vegapunk somehow took over Elbaf and this once peaceful Viking island was turned into like a cool steampunk / cyberpunk world, and that would be a good twist and stuff. I thought that would be cool, but we're not getting that. We're getting the future island on its own. Egghead Island doesn't look that huge itself, and it also doesn't look much like a winter island either, which is interesting because that's what they were alluding to last chapter. But as we see, there are big palm trees of the sort on this island, so I'm not sure if this place is more tropical or if it is actually wintry, but there's just maybe these palm trees are robotic or something. I don't know. Bonnie says that Vegapunk is the reason that she is there in the first place and that they've got business. This obviously alludes to Kuma. We still don't know exactly how Kuma and Bonnie are related. All we know is that Bonnie cares for Kuma in some sort of way. Whether they are siblings, or she is his mother, or his wife, or his daughter, or just she's a servant of the Sorbet Kingdom. I really, honestly don't know, but I'm assuming that we're going to find out really, really soon. So that big robot from earlier did end up saving the Sunny and the rest of the crew, and holy moly, this robot is big. You couldn't really tell when it was fighting the giant robot shark, but when you see it in comparison to the Sunny, oh my goodness, it's so huge. Way bigger than Frankie's General Frankie. Way, way bigger. It's nice to see Frankie being the one mesmerized by a big, cool, giant robot this time. Usually it's him. It's his robot that everyone is being like, oh, whoa, for. But this time it's him. And that's nice. So, here it comes. Out of the giant robot walks out Dr. Vegapunk. And Vegapunk is looking pretty nice. I don't think anyone expected Vegapunk to look like this. Everyone is expecting Vegapunk to look like an old man of sorts. Now, the question is this actually Vegapunk? Why does Vegapunk look like this? Why is Vegapunk a younger woman? Now, I looked through older chapters. Maybe I'm looking at wrong translations or something, but if you go back to, like, Frankie's whole time in Karakuri Island, everyone called Vegapunk he. Everyone was like he. It was a man who did this, you know, he did this. If you go back to Punk Hazard, you can hear Caesar being all like, oh, there could only be one man who has the technology to bust down this door. So I feel like it hasn't been that ambiguous as most people think it is. I feel like it was definitely insinuated that Vegapunk was an older man. Back in Frankie's time on Karakuri Island, they were talking about how that was Vegapunk's place where Vegapunk did all of his experiments when he was younger. You know, he didn't have time to do all these things because he was younger and stuff like that. So, why is Vegapunk a young woman? There are a couple of options. I have a couple of ideas. The first explanation is probably the most reasonable explanation, and it's that this right here is Dr. Vegapunk's daughter. This could just simply be her daughter. Vegapunk could have had a kid. There's no reason that he can't, and there's no reason that his daughter could also have the name Vegapunk, obviously. That might be a more boring explanation, but I feel like it's the most reasonable. But one thing about that is that the Vegapunk here says about the world government, they like to call me their scientific genius. So that makes me think that there is only one of them, and that the daughter of Vegapunk wouldn't say something like that. Now, two, this is a straight-up robot. This is just a straight-up robot, because she has Punk 02 on her uniform right there. And as we see earlier, the robot has a 12 on him, but also a Vegaforce 1. I'm guessing that Vegaforce is like a branch of Vegapunk's creations, and then the actual numbers, the separate numbers, are just the order that they were made, maybe. So the big robot is the 12th one. And then the robot shark earlier was number 3. So we have a 2 and a 3 and a 12. So this makes me feel like all three of these things are Vegapunk's creations. Same way how Frankie back in the day used to name all of his battleships, and I'm pretty sure that he actually, his own body has his own number on it, as in his own body is one of his creations. So it would make sense that Vegapunk is doing a similar thing with their body. It reminds me of that one character from One Punch Man, the one that is like, why would I walk around ever when I can just walk around in this robot? I would die if I do that. Why would I ever show my face around people when I can just bring my robot and be much, much safer? The third explanation has to do with cloning. Now, we've seen more than once cloning be a thing in the series. We just saw it with the Seraphim, and we've seen it with the German 66. We know that Vegapunk has figured out what they call bloodline elements, which is what they just call DNA in the One Piece world. We know that Vegapunk has studied that and researched that and has made clones. So this could be a clone of Vegapunk. I'm wondering if this is one of those Soma things where the consciousness is taken from one body to the other, and that, you know, Vegapunk was once an old man, but then he, you know, put his body into a clone. Why is the clone a hot woman? I don't know. But why not? One more explanation that I thought of is that it has something to do with immortality. A big theory going around has always been that Im, or the Gorosei, are actually immortal and can live forever and have been living since the Void Century. And that is also a thing for Vegapunk too. Like, why is Vegapunk so much smarter than everyone else? Why is Vegapunk 500 years ahead of everyone else? My only explanation is that Vegapunk had some sort of head start because they live forever. So this could have been Vegapunk's body the whole time. We know from the scan notes that Vegapunk is talking in an old-timer speech, like an old man voice a little bit. This could be Vegapunk's original body, and Vegapunk just doesn't age. But that wouldn't really explain why he's been called a guy throughout the whole story, but then is a girl right now. I don't know. But I think there is going to be some sort of explanation. I don't think that they're just going to brush this away and just be like, oh yeah, that's just what Vegapunk looked like, you dang sexists. Why weren't you making assumptions? And it's like, well, I assume because they literally called him he throughout the rest of the story. So yeah. But this is cool. I can't believe that we're actually getting to Vegapunk right now. We are seeing, I think, Vegapunk right now. That feels like a dream. Like, I've only been into One Piece for about 2 to 3 years now, but there are people who have been waiting for years, ever since Alabasta, when we first saw that someone was able to feed a fruit to a gun. Ever since then, we've been wondering, how the heck does who the heck is the person who can just do these things? I did not think we were going to go straight into Vegapunk stuff right now, but here we are. You know, this is happening before Elbaf, before a bunch of big wars and stuff. How much information are we going to get out of this? How much information about the Void Century and the rest of the world? And oh my goodness, there's just so much stuff. There's so much information that we can get out of Vegapunk right now, and oh my gosh, we're gonna learn more about Kuma. Kuma was always one of the most, like, interesting characters for me. This guy who turned into a robot and who was part of the revolutionaries, but then started working for the world government, who practically, like, sold his soul to Vegapunk to, like, give his body away and turn into a machine. Not even like the best machine he had. He was just a prototype too. It's just like, dang, you didn't even turn into like a cool Seraphim, Kuma. You were just a big robot man. With this and Bonnie being here, we're finally gonna get that stuff, and that's exciting. And we also know that Seraphim are on this island. Even Helmeppo mentioned that earlier in the chapter. So I think that we're getting a Seraphim fight on this island. And I think we're getting it pretty soon. Maybe not like in the next couple of chapters, but before we leave this island, we're going to get a Seraphim fight with one of the Straw Hats at least. And that is exciting. And I hope we get more Frankie stuff too, because, you know, Frankie, a lot of the stuff that he's using now, post time skip, is because of the blueprints that he found in Vegapunk's secret lab. So hopefully they have a lot to say. I wonder if Vegapunk will actually be mad at him for stealing a lot of their blueprints and stuff. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of cool talking between them. When I think back about it, what are all of, like, the worst things that Vegapunk has done? Vegapunk did experiment on animals when they were young. Vegapunk worked with Caesar and worked with Judge at some point in time. It seemed, though, that Vegapunk wasn't doing anything too evil. It seemed that Caesar and Judge were the ones doing more nefarious deeds. We know that Vegapunk has made the Pacifistas, and we know that Vegapunk has made the Seraphim. Now, we've seen the Pacifistas and the Seraphim specifically take out pirates. That's all we've seen. We haven't seen Vegapunk specifically do anything bad to regular people, to just ordinary citizens yet, unless you count the giant beam in the sky that Im sent down last week. We don't know if Vegapunk was a part of that, if that's one of Vegapunk's inventions, or if that's Im's fruit, or if that's an ancient weapon that has nothing to do with Vegapunk. I have a feeling that they gotta know, there's gotta be something. There's gotta be something there, though. But as for now, it looks like the gang has split up in the meantime. It's always better for me when all of the crew are together, but it makes sense because there's just so many Straw Hats that it's okay for people to split up sometimes, especially at the beginning of arcs, because oh my gosh, we're starting a new arc right now because we're at a new island. So now we're split up with together Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and Bonnie. You know what? That's not a bad pair of 4. I'm hoping that we're gonna get some good juicy stuff out of that. And then we got the rest of the Straw Hats who don't seem to be in the best situation because, you know, Vegapunk is not friendly to pirates, has never been friendly to pirates, so I'm wondering if they're just gonna go straight into custody or if they're gonna try and do some sort of battling. Sanji's not gonna hit Vegapunk, obviously, but is Zoro? I wonder if Zoro can cut this giant robot. We haven't seen Zoro try it, but there could be a possibility that this is a new thing that Zoro can't cut. I don't know. We're gonna be speculating for a while because we're on break next week, but that's honestly fine by me because we have more than enough to speculate about. It was a shorter chapter this week. It felt way either it was faster. I feel like it's gotta be way shorter. There's way less big cover pages, but it still feels a lot shorter. But because of that Vegapunk stuff at the end, there's just so much to think about. So I'm not too bothered by the break next week. But let me know what y'all think. Did y'all expect Vegapunk to be looking like that? Do you have a specific reason of why you think Vegapunk be looking like that, you know? Let me know in the comments if you're caught up and reading all this. I do declare it makes it make me happy. Like I said, we're on a break next week, so no chapter review for next week, but I do have another video planned. Already made it, already got it scheduled, got it ready to get out soon. It's a gaming video that I've been editing for a while. I recorded it back in February and I just now finished it, so I would very much appreciate if y'all watched that one next Sunday as well, I do declare. But with that, I'm going to head out. Thank y'all very much for watching. I'll see y'all next week.